Diana. I know you, so I don't need to ask you for an introduction. Although if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, you can.
Oh, perfect. Well, my name is Diana Foe, and in the steampunk community, I'm actually known as Alien the Peacemaker. I'm the founding editor of the multicultural blog Beyond Victoriana, and I'm also an active steampunk in the New York metro area and New England communities, and I actually go to conventions like this one to speak about steampunk and social justice issues.
So, what got you into steampunk, and what would you say steampunk actually is?
It's a really tricky question because everyone has a different answer. To me, though, steampunk is defined on two different levels. On the most basic level, I define steampunk as 19th century inspired science fiction fantasy. It's an aesthetic. It's what people are engaged with visually. But on the second level, and this is the level I think people nitpick about a lot, is what do people do with steampunk? And that is a really big question. And that is where people come at steampunk from different angles, whether they're a maker, whether they're a costumer, whether they're a reenactor or a cosplayer or a former punk. Each person has their own different definition. What I think steampunk is, however, it is a method of reclaiming history. It's taking that word punk, which traditionally meant a streetwalker, a gangbuster, someone low class, low life, and then during the punk movement, it was these sort of kids, the runaways, the hustlers, who actually decided to take what they can, which was nothing, and try to make it work. And they did, and they're amazingly successful in their creativity, in their rebellion, in their vigor and youth and life. And at the same time, they reclaim that word punk for themselves as a sense of pride and ownership despite of their low origins. In the same sense, I think steampunk, the punk in steampunk, is a sense of reclaiming oneself, reclaiming those lost histories, those forgotten ideas, those marginalized voices. The concept that what is written in history is the only thing that is true and worth knowing. Steampunk takes all of the things that have been left out of history, the traditional history as we know it, and puts them back in. It gives people like me, it gives like women and other minorities and marginalized peoples a chance to reclaim ourselves on our own terms. And that's why I'm really fascinated with steampunk and, love it so much.
Steampunk is a combination of Victorian and science fiction rolled into one. And we like the costuming aspect, being creative. I tend to do more soft sculpture and fiber arts and things like that. And Rick does more of the
world domination.
Hard things. So, for example, this is a blow dryer that I found at like a Goodwill shop, and then Rick wired it so that it's got EL wire inside. When you turn it on, it glows, so it looks like it's heating up. But it's just light. So we turned the blow dryer inside out, and then his weapon came from a used clothing store too. Make your noise, honey. So we had a build night on Monday, and we put our little weapons together so we'd be all ready. But we just like the creativity of it and the fun and sort of the historical aspect of it and how does it all fit together and imagining a world that never was. So.
My name is Peter Hatchett. I'm an enthusiast of Victorian era costumes and uniforms. I'm here at Steampunk to carouse with other members of my interest and learn about different activities other people do. And it's an opportunity to try out new costumes and try to recreate a world that may have existed in a parallel universe.
Well, that's why I'm here at the convention. I'm interested in science fiction. I've always been a science fiction reader. I always liked watching science fiction and on television and movies. I always liked comics. From what I understand, steampunk is a combination of old stuff and science fiction. A good example would be like the Wild Wild West, the old What the Wild Wild West TV show. So I'm hoping to learn a little bit more.
I was just introduced to it today, and it's a pretty interesting thing.
Well, I noticed that you've already got your nice, steampunk goggles going.
Nice pair of goggles. As far as it goes, their whole fan base revolves around a Victorian era that never quite existed, you know? It's about, you know, the history that wasn't. They like futuristic technology using, you know, older means and whatnot.
Do you think that it's something that you're going to get into, or are you just checking it out?
Just checking it out.
Yeah.
Cool show. I gotta say, it's a pretty interesting turnout. Like, you have a Mayan kabuki artist right over there. It's pretty far out.